Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Dad, it is the preview for the Preston game coming up. I've got to ask you though, how's the international break been for you?
I'm not a great lover of the international break, to be honest. Admittedly, Tuchel's proved me wrong. England had a great result, didn't they? But I think when it matters, they don't turn it on. But anyway, up to our glorious boys in blue and white stripes. Listen, I think that we've got to be realistic, Dan. I think this season is going to be one of transition. I'd be surprised if we made the automatic spots. But so far, I'm pleased with what I see. I think that, yes, there are going to be bumps in the road, i.e., bad days at the office, Millwall. But I think we've got to realise that we're a brand new team, brand new work ethic, brand new players. I think the in it together spirit within this squad is definitely good. But I think, from my point of view, I just think we need to be more switched on, a bit more savvy. I mean, I don't know whether it's a good thing to say, but we look like a Ryan Mason team, almost too nice, too respectful to the opposition. I mean, the amount of times Hegembo could have gone down in the box to give a free kick and shout more at the referee. Because I always think that, when you watch a game of football, particularly the Albion, you can judge people's reactions, whereas Albion, they're all quiet. We just we just need a bit more oomph in the midfield, I think. Don't think I mean, all right, our midfielders are good, but we just miss someone who's lacking that spirit to drive them on.
Yeah, okay. I can see where you're coming from there, Dan. It's very well said, actually. But we'll go on a couple of things today in the video, guys. I want to know your thoughts towards the Preston game. Of course, some players have been on international duty. But the one question that I think from the last video, thanks so much for watching that, guys, and leaving your comments down below, was the fact that someone said about, do you think, Dad, the fact that players are perhaps confused about what they're
Oh,
doing in the system?
Something, I think that was a fantastic comment to make, and I think you're right. I think that shone through at Millwall. And one thing that I don't like is that a test of a good team is when they go up against it and they've conceded some goals, they've made some mistakes. Instead of letting their heads drop, let's just pick it up, put a smile on your face, and crack on with it. Because something, otherwise teams will know that we're a little bit fragile at times.
Yeah, we can be actually. And I think so far this season, Dad, with where we are on the table, I think, don't get me wrong, when we went into the start of this season, we weren't too sure where we're going to be, what's going to happen realistically. But I think Ryan Mason so far has done a real solid job, hasn't he? And I think the way we're performing, don't get me wrong, I think the only worry that I have, because I put a thing on Twitter yesterday, and I thought to myself, where we are on the table, seventh place, just outside the playoffs, isn't too bad. And don't get me wrong, we can maybe go up a bit higher with the performances coming up, maybe against Preston and get a win. However, the only worry I have going into that is only 9 goals scored this season. Isn't that going to be a problem going forward?
Yeah, it's a massive problem. It's a problem that we've had throughout well, I'd say the last 4 years or so. If we had a top quality goal scorer, but then again, if all the other teams did, then we'd be all right. So it's a difficult nut to crack. I think that we have got to give Mason a lot more time and a lot of credit, really, because where we are in the league, I would have accepted that in the opening day of the season because he was very much an unknown package. My biggest concern is, Dan,
Go on.
is that whatever Mason's trying to drum into the players, are they capable of absorbing it and doing it on a match day? Because there's no way that Ryan Mason can put up with that Millwall game because everybody had a bad day. And I'd expected a lot more because something, I've always said this on our day, we can play some scintillating football, but only if it's going our way. If we can just dig a bit deeper. Some of the teams I've seen so far, they apply the dark arts of football, pushing the referee or doing these snidey little things. Albion are far too nice, far too naive, and at times a bit sloppy.
Yes, and very well said there, Dad. And I think as a team in general, don't get me wrong, I do think, where again, we've said so many times, we are a tad bit short on with players, especially in the higher end attacking wise in the pitch. I think many people have said the fact that, I think it was Neil coming to, thanks for coming to Neil, the fact that Sammy Illing Jr., he should be pushing for a start, definitely, because I think he's been one of the main threats on the wing. And I've read some in the week, actually, it's really interesting to look at. and I think many people have noticed this anyway, is when we lost John Swift and Grady and Garner, we replaced them straight away with who? Banny and Isaac Price, 6 million in the transfer window in January, whenever it was, or the summer, I think it's January. And when you think about the proportion of how we've gone about our business there, again, I think the gamble on Banny, we didn't realise he'd become injured. So I think they're hoping that, of course, now he was back in under 21s, I think, playing against Exeter, got 45 minutes under his belt in midweek. I think it's Wednesday. Of course, he's had that, and they're hoping that he can come back into the side. But other than that, we look really short, don't we?
Yeah, we do. I think something that really annoys me is look at the graduates who've come through our academy and we haven't made the most of them. Sold them on, and they're doing wonders. That frustrates me. But coming back to Wheeling Jr., yes, he's got a lot to offer. And you know what? He should play more time because I think that he has got a lot to offer. He's fresh. He's not got anything to, how can I put, to worry about so much. And I think that you mentioned a good point about Swifty and Diangana. But listen, them days are gone. Them days are over. We can move on from that, Dan. And in Junior, we're all right, aren't we?
Another one for you, Dad, is that someone commented the fact that Ryan Mason isn't the man for the job. I mean, we've both said yes, he should be, but again, there's some minor points. Again, used to our managers having time. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that it's wrong to say that too early on in his tenure. Because let's be honest, Dan, he's done some high profile jobs and he's played and coached with some high profile managers and literally top quality players. So no, I mean you've only got to look how difficult the EFL Championship is and look across the board with managers who are already losing their jobs. I think it'd be madness. Give him all the time in the world. I think that, as I said, I think it's going to be a 2 or 3 year project where we won't see the fruits of our labour because anybody who's expecting Mason to come in with that team that he's got and the lack of budget, what more can you expect?
I think the worry is with the team that we've got at the moment is, as we've been saying so many times, we don't score enough goals, do we? At all. And again, I think I'm not always into my stats, but there's a stat mentioning the fact that on average, we only realistically should be scoring one goal a game. Again, I don't think that really matters sometimes, XG. But again, you've got to have those chances, Dad. And I think this is why perhaps we've been saying it so many times. We said last video, has Magic got a start on Saturday?
You know, I would say no because I'd want to keep him hungry and fresh. Because you know, again, he's only going to take a knock and he's out for some time. What's the deal with Colin Grant, by the way?
Colin Grant, of course, he was out. I think it was a Stoke game onwards. He had an injury, which again has impacted us. And while he's had his critics, Dad, you've got to admit we have been missing him. I'm not too sure when he's back, and it hasn't really been situated when he's actually going to come back. But saying that, we have missed him, haven't we?
We have, yeah, but you know something, Dan. Every other team has injuries. We can't really use that as an excuse. I would expect Mr. Patel, if he's serious about going into the big time, you need to spend some big cash, Dan. I think, you know what, we're a victim of poor financial management over the years. And just when we need that finance the most, it isn't there. But I suppose what you've got to remember is, Dan, all right, they've splashed out some cash on the Hegembo and players alike, but it's going to be a long, hard struggle. And some of the teams that are up there at the top of the championship, I would never have expected. Tell you one thing I will expect is Coventry to come off the rails somewhat because they haven't put a foot wrong so far. And they're our biggest challenges as well as Middlesbrough, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm glad you said that actually, because one thing I would say to everyone watching the video at the moment, while there's some doubts over Mason, the way he plays, the way Albion are at the moment, you've got to remember that we've come into this season, right? We've come into a brand new Ryan Mason era. We're back along where realistically we've been used to Carl Bartley, your Connor Townsend, your Hegem, who's been there for only a year and whatnot, and Darnell Furlong, who's been a good servant to the club. We've changed the back line completely. We've got a right back who realistically is a centre back at this moment in time. We've got a striker who's learning his trade in English football, playing Norway for most of his career. And you've got to think about it, Dad. We've got Isaac Price who's shown quality at the moment in time. So we're work in progress, aren't we? And I think the way that Mason wants to play, while it could be maybe a bit similar to Carlos Corberán, I think we've got to keep the faith and see what he's going to do with his team. So I think we hopefully, with the players come back like Banny and Grant, etc., he can use them well and maybe realistically get more into the playoffs than we were at the moment in time.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think we have got plenty of diamonds in the rough who need to come to the party, so to speak. I think we can't keep on relying on one or two players. I think it's going to be one of these scenarios whereby we're going to have a game whereby everybody's going to come to the party, as I just said, and we're going to do some damage. And I think once we get that confidence higher and higher and higher, then we go on to bigger and better things. I'm not having people slate Ryan Mason, and I'm not having people slate the players that we've got, because let's be honest, everybody's been saying let's get rid of the deadwood. We've got rid of the deadwood. We're building, and you can't just go off and running like that. It's going to be highs and lows. In Mason, I 100% trust, because some of the football I've seen so far this season has been nothing short of scintillating. And I used to get really frustrated by the same old substitutes at the same time. I think once Ryan Mason agrees on his formation that suits the players, and once the players are selected in their right positions, I think we'll be okay. But you've got to give him time to make the small adjustments. But I never thought we were capable of getting absolutely spanked at Millwall. I think, something that leaves a sour taste in my mouth. And I just hope that all the players have learned from that. And I'd expect Mason to have ripped into them. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Tell them if they don't perform, you'll get dropped, and we'll bring the youngsters in, because I think the people like Illing Jr. got such a lot to offer. On his day, Mikey Johnson's superb. I think that we've got such a, you know what? I was the biggest critic of the keeper. I think he's kept us in matches where we shouldn't have been, to be honest. Isn't it mad, right? There's all these nice sayers having a pop at Mason and the club. We've had a decent away record in the season's early days.
Yeah, I know. You're spot on there, actually. And I might pick up on the point you said about youngsters, Dad. Of course, your mate Robbie Savage doing well with Forest Green. We've got Harry Whitwell, who's a brilliant youngster for the Albany Academy midfielder, who looks to be doing well there. And I think it's on Twitter, the fact that if he's playing well, would you bring him back out on loan, or would you bring him back and maybe integrate him into the first team?
Well, if he's got something to offer, bring him back. He's our asset, isn't he? I think that we've got to get away from all these players on loan at other clubs who are doing the business. Because you and I know, and I'm not going to name and shame, when they come back to the Albion, they seem to freeze. He's gone out on loan for a particular reason, for match time. I mean, the amount of players, Dan, that have, as I said earlier, who have come through the academy, and they're nowhere to be seen. But I'm still very, very confident. No two ways about it. And on Saturday, obviously it can go many different ways. But if we don't bounce back and show a statement victory, then I do worry a little bit. We're at home. We've got home territory, the crowd behind us. The players can just express themselves. This time next week, I'll give you a better assessment. My score prediction for the game, and I don't want to be like this, I'm going for a 1-0 loss.
1-0 loss in the 90th, okay.
Yeah, and the goal will be scored in the 90th plus minute, because I don't think we've learned our mistakes. And I think it's going to take time for it to sink into the heads of the players. But they're going to get in this situation. If they don't sort that out, it's going to be at the back of their minds. So psychologically, they'll be panicking. But stress, happy we want to see.
I mean, going on to Preston before we started, I think overall, again, we've done what's happened to the game, but we need to make sure we consolidate the home form, like you just said. A big shout out to this man. Who's on this week, Dad? It is Will Burford.
Well, Burford, let's see what Will's got to say, because I'll tell you what, he is a sensible analyser of the game. And I'll tell you what, he can drink some PRSS, because I saw him in London at the home of Millwall. I saw him giving it the big one with Mr. Burford Senior. But you know what? That's what match days are all about. Let's have a look what he's got.
Thank you, Dan and Paul, for inviting me on today to give my thoughts for their preview show. It was good to see both of you the other week in London for Millwall away on the old PISS in and around London Bridge, drinking before the game. It was a great day up until the football, which perfectly describes most West Brom away days, really. In terms of my thoughts on the season so far, overall I've been pretty impressed, really. If you'd have said at the start of the season that we'd have been in 7th place come this stage, I certainly would have taken it. We've had some great performances, the likes of Wrexham away, Stoke away. Some not so great performances, the most recent one against Millwall. I think you've got to take into consideration we have a lot of new players in this squad. Some of them have been at the club no longer than 2 months. And it will take them some time to get used to the football club. Ryan Mason himself is new to management. He's got a lot of learning to do. He's made mistakes. He will make mistakes. What will make him a good manager is if he learns from those mistakes. There's too many managers nowadays, young managers, the likes of Valerian Ismail, Russell Martin, who are stubborn and don't learn from their mistakes. I do like Ryan Mason as a manager. He has my full support. I like what he says in interviews. I think he's passionate. He's hungry to do well. I think he understands West Brom as a football club and he appreciates our wonderful fan base. I think Albion really did bring in some quality in the summer, really did improve on the squad. However, one thing that did slightly concern me against Millwall was the lack of voice in that back line, the goalkeeper included. They made a few mistakes, giving the ball away cheaply. And I would like to see a voice in that back line, you know, having a go at the other players, almost trying to wake them up. But that wasn't happening. You know, a few times they gave the ball away and all four of the back line and the goalkeeper was just like heads down. They looked like 5 individuals, really. I think for the team to be more successful, there's going to have to be a few more leaders in that back line to get Albion through difficult moments during the season. But I'm going to say it's positive. I want to say congratulations to a lad I actually went to school with, Ollie Bostock, for making his debut against Millwall. He really did impress, and hopefully we see a bit more of him this season. It's all doom and gloom after Millwall, but me, just like many Albion fans, is absolutely buzzing to be back at the Hawthorns on Saturday. We've got a good recent record against Preston, who have started the season well themselves. I reckon we can get a 2-1 win on Saturday. Boing, boing.
Thanks for that, Will. Quality as always. That, to be fair, is confident 2-1 win.
Yeah, well, fair play to him. We've all got our opinions. I think he was right. You know, I said it on, I think on the match day vlog, is that the day was fantastic. It's just the game that got in the way. But I think he talks a lot of sense, because I've always said one of the biggest issues within our squad is we haven't got any leaders. We need somebody vocal who can G the lads up when things go a bit pear-shaped. I didn't see anybody on that pitch against Millwall who was really in the right. I thought Malumbu was showing it on the pitch, but at times I think he just runs around like a headless chicken. But he's got the desire, the commitment, and the enthusiasm. So totally agree with what Will says. We're just too quiet. We're not vocal enough, and we need a bit of steel.
Yeah, 100%. And thanks for that. We'll do appreciate. And as always, guys, make sure to put on the comment section down below if you'd like to come and send a video in. We'd really, really appreciate it. When we dad?
We do, yeah. Without the fans, we're absolutely nothing. But it's lovely when you go out and about, especially in London, see so many familiar faces, some new faces. Always feel free to come up, have a chat. And if you want to come on, give your point of view, then you're more than welcome, because all I want to do, Dan, is literally for the people that can't make it match days, to give them the experience as well. Listen, win, lose or draw, we love the Albion. Thousands of others do. And I'll tell you what, mate, I'm happy. I'm not going to slate them. Keep the faith, Dan.
Exactly. And on to Preston, Dan, of course, they're doing a bit better than us, aren't they? Paul Heckenbottom, we had a bit of critics, I think, towards the end of last season, but he's doing a really good job, of course, in the playoffs at this moment in time. And they've got some good results in there, Dad. They beat Leicester at home, didn't they, 2-1? And I think they come 2-0 winners against Charlton at home.
That's
and then
absolutely
again,
right.
Yeah, and I think away from home they're doing well as well, aren't they?
They're not, again, they're not too dissimilar to us. They have the highs and the lows. They have the promotion pushes and the wheels come off. But they ain't going to be easy, Dan. They are where they are for a reason. They've got some cracking results on the travels again, which worries me.
And again, I think they played against Hull recently, and this is where I think we've got to make sure we're on it from the first minute, because sometimes we do something a bit lethargic coming into these games. We take a half an hour, half time, and then switch on. Because I think they went 2-0 up against Hull, for example, got 2 quick goals, and just because they got a poacher like Ollie McBurney, and they drew 2-2 in the end with Hull. But then again, that's the reason why we've got to make sure we're consistent and straight on it from the start minute, Dad. And I think going into the game itself, I'm worried about one man. Who is it?
Go on.
A man called Lewis Dobbin.
Oh, Dan.
He's been playing really, really well. Of course, he was on loan at Albion last season. And then again, I think he came and has a couple of cameo appearances where he showed something, offered something, but never really had his end product. And at the moment in time, he's playing really well and having the end product as Preston North End.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing I'd like to know from an away team's perspective. Are people frightened to come to the Albion? No, they're not. Is our scout there to be had? Yes, it is. So we need to be wise to that. And I think that the lethargic issue you mentioned is good. I just hope that the players coming back from international break don't use that as an excuse. Listen, they're professional footballers. It's the same for everybody. So listen, just because they're wearing blue and white, don't make them invincible. But all I ask at the very least is when you turn up match day, give it your all. If it's not going your way, do everything in your power. Keep the ball a bit much. When you make these decisions about making wayward passes. Learn from your mistakes that you're making. Switch on, concentrate.
Exactly. For the game that I'm going to go for a 2-1 win, like Will did. I think we'll come back to winning ways this week, and I think we've got to make sure the home form is back at it. And I think hopefully a confidence under our belt will go forward into the Watford game midweek.
Yeah, great. I mean, don't get me wrong, man. My 1-0 defeat prediction. I don't really want to say that, but I've got to be honest. I can't keep on saying we're going to pile drive them 4-1, blah blah blah. When I've just got this negative feeling after seeing Millwall, and I just hope that they bounce back. Imagine it, Dan, a full packed out shrine, the Hawthorns. If nothing would be better than me and you walking away from there with a sound victory, 3 glorious points, and I'll treat you to some PIWS.
How are you now? Guys, thank you so much for watching this video as always. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment on your score prediction down below. Got anything else to say?
Yeah, keep them coming in the comments, Dan. If you've got anything that you'd like us to discuss, or have an open forum where, you know what, we've all got our opinions. We're not all right, we're not all wrong, but it's all about opinions. And I'll tell you what, Dan, the Lord's our shepherd.
Dad, what time is it? It's showtime!